5D Mystery School.
Welcome back to 5D Mystery School. Let's get into it. So today we're going to be talking about how the Bible, the bibliography, just refers to the human body and how the Bible has a lot to do with the Hermetic system. Okay, so the New King James Version says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." And then it later says, "And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full grace and the truth." So, the Word was made flesh. What does that mean? Well, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So, if the Word was God, and the Word was made flesh, this is another way of saying God was made flesh. You are God. The Kabbalion by the three initiates says, "The all is mind, the universe is mental." So with that being said, first let's start on the outside. You have two very special lines. Well, really three. You have the 42nd degree parallel, but we're going to focus today on the 33rd degree parallel south and the 33rd degree parallel north. Latitude lines are referred to as parallels because they run parallel to each other. Now, along these lines, it is some undeniably synchronized patterns and happenings that take place along these lines. So along the 33rd degree parallels, John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert Kennedy were both assassinated. The Book of Enoch speaks of the watchers that descend upon Mount Hermon. Well, that takes place on the 33rd parallel, which is where Mount Hermon is located. The Phoenix Lights, and a lot of this system refers back to the Phoenicians that use it, and the city of Phoenix was named after the Phoenicians. The city of Phoenix is located on the 33rd parallel. Hiroshima and Nagasaki both took place on the 33rd parallels, and in China they call these lines the Dragon Lines. The first nuclear explosion was in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and that's on the 33rd degree parallel. The mounds in Mississippi, which we spoke of before in another lecture, are located on the 33rd degree parallel. And the word Amen is the numerical equivalent to the number 33. 33 represents Christ consciousness. You see, there are 33 vertebrae that makes up the human spine. This symbol, the caduceus, that has the snakes moving up the pole represents your spine, and the snakes represents the kundalini energy. And the wings, you can say that those symbolize the Ark of the Covenant, which is in your head, or the pineal gland, which is the point right here. As within, so without, part 2. So you'll often see this symbol on hospitals, right? They're telling you that you don't actually have to go into the hospital, you can heal yourself. This is the way that the elites work. They have to tell you something while they're doing it or before they do it. So this is put on the hospital to let you know that you have everything you need to heal yourself on the inside. Because the hospital rarely heals, it just makes you a customer, allegedly. So the end of the 33rd vertebrae of your spine leads to your pineal gland, to your Christ consciousness. When the Bible speaks about Christ, it's speaking about oil that travels up your spine into your pineal gland. Christos in Greek means oil. This oil of Christ is secreted by your cerebrum from the holy claustrum, aka the Santa Claustrum, or Santa Claus. This is where Santa Claus comes from. Santa Claus comes from your North Pole. And when Santa goes down the chimney, it's going down your spine because this oil of Christ travels up and down your spine. The oil is sent from your cerebrum to your pituitary gland and your pineal gland, aka Joseph and Mary. This oil goes down your spine to your sacral plexus, and it goes right back up where it's crucified at your medulla oblongata. So this Christos oil being crucified on the 33rd vertebrae is symbolic of the Christians having Jesus dying at the age of 33 and him dying on the 33rd parallel. This oil is crucified as the pneumogastric nerve crosses over in the medulla oblongata and links up with the pineal gland and pituitary gland. This oil then reaches the optic thalamus, aka the light of the world, where it lays dormant for 2.5 to 3 days. Now you may know this to happen with the sun on December the 25th, as within, so without, as above, so below. Now, the 3 days where this oil lays dormant is unique for every person, right? There is an electrical charge that happens when your sun sign, the month of you were born, when the moon is in your sun sign for 2.5 days. And your body intuitively knows when this time is. And so it gets ready by sending the oil from the sacral plexus all the way up to the light of the world, the optic thalamus. And there's an electrical charge that happens if there is no sacrificing of the seed. This is where some people say that semen retention is good. So they save their seed and not waste their seed, so their seed can go from the sacral plexus up to their pineal gland. And when the electrical charge happens, essentially you are born again. You get birth at both your crown and sacral chakras. As within, so without, part 3. So then, symbolically, the river of Jordan in the Bible is the spinal cord. In the end of your spinal column has a bunch of nerve endings. This is basically your tail, right? And this symbolizes the Dead Sea, and this is where the river of Jordan crosses and meets the Dead Sea, the sacral plexus. And this is where the oil is produced. And the oil is carried by fluid nerves up to the cross at the medullum oblongata. Now, while the moon is in your sun sign for 2.5 days, this fluid that sits in your solar plexus is being charged by the electromagnetic field. This is why it's called your solar plexus. Side note, in ancient times, they referred to the seed having the odor of fish, and this is why Jesus is symbolized by a fish. Okay, so then this oil is carried up the Jacob's ladder where it meets the 12 cranial nerves, aka the 12 disciples. And then it ignites the pineal gland, and this symbolizes the resurrection. So most places in the Bible actually refer to body parts. For an example, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, Sodom and Gomorrah, they're just referring to parts of your bowels, right? Like a sodomite is one who engages in... Exactly. As some of you may or may not know, there was an event called the Council of Nicaea where Constantine got together with some other people and they pretty much decided what would go in the Bible. The history that will be told to the generations to come. Dates were changed, meanings were changed, pages were taken out, pages were written in. Basically, the history of man was changed to their liking. This is why March, which is primo in Latin, refers to the first. This is why you have spring equinox in March. Or December is derived from dece or deca, which means 10. October, octo, 8, and so on. So the Bible has more to do with you than you think. And you have more to do in the earth than you think. Look at your nervous system and look at the roots of a tree. So life, it's a literal game, and we're given clues every single day with the real meaning of life. No matter if it's Peter Pan, Little Red Riding Hood, Lord of the Rings, or even Lion King. All of these stories refer to the relationship between man and earth, the soul and the sun. You can apply the same logic to the zodiac. Aries is first, representing the head. Taurus represents the neck. Gemini represents the arms and the lungs, the way you breathe, that's why Gemini is air. Cancer, the chest, Pisces, the feet, and so on. You can also match these to different chakras. Now, I'll leave you with this. In another lecture, my Exit the Matrix, the Sims lecture in particular, we spoke about the magnetic North Pole and the Ouroboros, right? We spoke about inner Earth. We spoke about the whirlpool at the magnetic North Pole. And how the magnetic North Pole, if you were to go into the whirlpool, these whirlpool would be guarded by these Ouroboros, right? How the ancients used to always depict snakes at the center of the magnetic North Pole. As within, so without. So this energy is speaking about your pineal gland, right? And when you go down the magnetic North Pole, you're just going down your spine. You're following that Kundalini energy. So Christ is literally within you. And if you want to be born again, you have to know this sacred process that goes on with this oil of Christ in your body. You have to become one with the body, and in doing so, you become one with the earth. There's a reason why Roswell, New Mexico happened on a 33rd degree parallel. There's a reason why so many strange occurrences happen on the 33rd degree parallel, which matches the 33 vertebrae up your spine, and you can tap into this Kundalini energy, right? The Kundalini energy. Your spine is an energetic line where magic happens. These ley lines, these energetic lines that runs through Los Angeles, New Mexico, ATL. Just follow this line and you'll find some of the most ancient sites. The ancients also built upon these lines. You have the Great Circle that touches many different ancient sites. There's a reason why in Freemasonry, the 33rd degree is the highest degree that you can go. So next time you hear that Jesus was crucified at the age of 33, you know what this crucifixion means. The oil that's produced by your sacral plexus travels up your spine, travels up the Kundalini, where it's crucified at the medulla oblongata. And it reaches the optic thalamus, the light of the world, which it ignites. That's your pineal gland. You have to let the oil of Christ reach your pineal gland, especially during the 2.5 days where your moon sign is in your sun sign. You're always tapped into the electromagnetic field, but at that time you are especially tapped into the electromagnetic field. This is the Word, that is God. The Word was made flesh, that's you. So make sure that you keep your pineal gland decalcified so that you can be saved by Christ within, and so that you can attain Christ consciousness. Well, that's all for today. Share this video with somebody who you think it might help. Take care of yourself. I love you. Peace.
5D Mystery School.